If you're here for the first time, my name is Daria. I'm a singer and a vocal coach, and welcome to Sing It to the World. I've been singing for over 20 years, 25 years to be precise. So basically, for as long as I can remember. I've learned a lot of things throughout this process, but I've chosen 5 things that I think are quite important and that I wanted to share with you today. Things I wish I knew as a singer all those years ago. So number 1 is it's not all about getting high notes. And you're like, hold on, Daria. Of course it is about getting high notes. It's all about the high notes. But like, I get you, okay? I understand, I know, because all these amazing songs you want to learn to sing have all these amazing high notes in them, and you naturally want to learn how to sing that. However, think of the performance that really touched you recently, that you watched and you were like, oh my god, this is just so beautiful, and you had goosebumps whilst listening to it. It doesn't always have all these high notes, does it? And it doesn't always have all this belting. It touches you in other ways. It brings up emotion in you because there was really beautiful storytelling from the singer. There was this dynamics that they conveyed throughout their performance that just really resonated with you, etc., etc. You know what I'm trying to say, right? I guess just don't make learning how to hit all these amazing, of course, high notes your sole focus, okay? This shouldn't be your sole purpose of a singing practice. Now, I'm not saying that forget about high notes, full stop. No, of course not. Of course, we want to learn how to master those high notes too. But don't make this your sole focus, and think about other things as well. Think about different vocal registers. Think about your vocal phrasing, dynamics, storytelling, lyrics. There's just so much that goes into singing that makes your vocal performance what it is. Okay, so think about these things as well. Second thing is knowing about voice anatomy and vocal health really matters. I learned this only in my 20s, let's say. So probably at the time when I was studying at uni and we were starting to really get into voice anatomy in my course. And this is when I realized that actually knowing about your voice, the structures, just the main ones, you don't need to go into ridiculous amount of detail. If you're a singer, but you want to really know your instrument, I suggest you learn about the main structures of the larynx and what they do and how they work and how you can control them. And learn about what foods and what drinks affect your voice, because there's obviously stuff like caffeine and alcohol and dairy that affects your voice usually. Yeah, produces phlegm, dries your throat out, etc. But I found that it's all very subjective as well, right? So for me, for example, dairy doesn't really do much. Like, I can eat dairy and still sing just fine. However, if I have a cup of coffee before singing, that's going to be a different story. So yeah, see what your voice likes, because it's very subjective, your voice, and you should learn what works and what doesn't for your voice. And that's how you also learn about your instrument. Voice anatomy wise, I already mentioned that knowing just the basic structures of the larynx helps a lot with learning how your voice works and how the sound is made. But also, I'm still recovering from like a really bad cold. And I realized that my knowledge of voice anatomy actually comes in really handy. Even if you have a cold, you know what not to do and what to do to help your voice recover. So yeah, you guys, knowledge is key, and it doesn't have to be extensive. It can be very basic. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do a video on basic voice anatomy, and I'll see what I can do. Number 3 is it's okay to just enjoy singing for a while. You don't always have to strive for more. And this is a really interesting one, because all my life, pretty much, I'd say, I've always been pushed to strive for more in singing, to hit more high notes, to do this, do that. That actually I at some point I just stopped enjoying the process, because you constantly have goals in mind that you have to hit with every vocal practice. It's tiring, it's exhausting, and it doesn't bring joy to your singing practice, right? And I wrote some points here. I just want to read it out to you. In a world focused on constant achievement, it's important to pause and enjoy singing for its own sake. While goals are valuable, which is true, take time to appreciate your current abilities, and I mean current abilities, yeah? Where you are right now. Just enjoy that moment as well. And the joy that singing brings at your current level. Do you see what I mean? I think it's so important, especially in this fast-paced world. And another point I had was, singing doesn't always have to be about improvement. It can simply be about enjoying the moment. And I think it just goes, it's true on so many levels. It's not just about singing, it's about just life in general as well. Just enjoy it, okay? Enjoy it. Of course, keep your goals in mind, but you don't have to learn something new every single vocal practice you do, because that's a lot. It's a lot. Give yourself some time to just enjoy singing for the joy it is. Enjoy for the joy, okay? Okay. Number 4 is not warming up before singing is not okay. And I say this a lot. If you've been on this channel with me for a while, you know that in the lessons, in the how to sing lessons, I say it a lot. I remind you to warm up. Please use the warm-ups that I have on Sing It to the World. There's so many already. Choose any and just make sure you warm up your voice. Now, I'm not perfect, okay? I've sang before without warming up first. I have done that before. Absolutely, I have. But is it good? No, it's not. We need to remember that we only get one voice. And it sounds scary, doesn't it? It sounds scary because it's a very fragile kind of structure and we need to look after it. But at the same time, that sort of, not fear, but that awareness of the fact that we only get one voice for life makes us want to look after it, right? Just like any muscle group, your voice needs to warm up before doing something big. So like if you're gonna do a big gig, like an hour gig, you have to warm up, and I'm sure you know that already. It's just a friendly reminder from a fellow singer to a fellow singer. And also with that point, it's just personally from me, because I've done it before and it completely crushed me. Avoid singing with a cold. Absolutely avoid at all costs if you can. Get a depth singer if you have a gig, or just cancel it because you guys, it's not worth it. A few months back, I was ill and I had a gig and I didn't cancel it because I felt bad, and I sang and I lost my voice pretty much. I was driving home, I was crying my eyes out because I felt so stupid. I was like, how could you do that to yourself? That is so irresponsible. And yeah, never do that, okay? If you can, just avoid it if you can. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. You only get one voice, just remember that. And the last point I've got is comparing yourself to others chips away at your enjoyment of singing. And that's a huge one for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but again, I only probably stopped comparing myself to other singers way into my 20s again. And if you can try and start this inner work where you try not to compare yourself to others as early as you can, it's good to do that, okay? We just have to remember that our voices, we each have a unique voice. You're one of a kind. There's no one else like you, and no one else has a voice like yours. So that point alone, right, makes you feel like, well, actually, why am I comparing if I'm the only one with this kind of voice? Exactly. There's no point. There's absolutely no point. And everyone improves at their own pace as well. Everyone progresses at their own pace. And everyone has their own strengths and their own things to work on. It's just remembering that. It's just keeping that in mind, that actually you don't need to compare. it doesn't do you any good. It only drains energy, chips away at enjoyment, absolutely 100%. And what I suggest we do instead is focus on your own progress by comparing your singing today with how you sang yesterday. And that's exactly it. I did a video called How to Start Singing. I'm gonna leave the link for you in the description below. And I talked about recording yourself and your own singing progress so you can look back and see how far you've come. But this is also, if you wanna compare, this is what you can do. You can just sort of see and get inspired by your own singing and by your own progress. I think it's a nice idea, and I suggest you give it a go. Another big thing about this particular point is there's a big difference between being inspired by someone and comparing yourself to them. Embrace inspiration without self-doubt. It's a very interesting one because lots of people compare themselves to like sometimes famous artists, established singers, and I always say that we can get inspired by them. So like if we like a certain technique they do or how they do it, we can get inspired, give it a try. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna fit our voices. We can adjust it, we can adapt it to our voices, but it doesn't mean we have to copy that exactly to feel like we're worthy. Do you know what I mean? Because of course you are worthy already. And again, I spoke about this a lot in How to Sing videos, where we'll look at how to sing different famous songs. And I always say, let's get inspired. This is a great technique. Let's get inspired by it. Let's give it a try. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna fit our voices. We might not like it, okay? So yeah, it's all relative, isn't it? So just keep it in mind. Don't let that upset you on your singing journey. And I'm gonna leave you with this one thought. You're here because you obviously love to sing, and so do I. Why don't we try this year to do something small daily for our voices? It can be a simple siren exercise. It can be some breathing exercises in the morning. It can be a short 10-minute vocal warm-up just to look after our voices. It can be a whole 50-minute big session full of different songs and new techniques. Let's make sure that we do something every day, okay? And I'm here to help you do just that. I'll see you next time.